Everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Welcome. Just give it a few minutes here. So Pat, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Good, really good, thanks. Hey,
Good.
out of curiosity, how long have you been with BMS?
This is my second year. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Mhm.
What market are you in?
Edmonton.
Oh, you are. Cool.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Brad, how about you? I think I've probably asked you this.
Yeah, I've been about just over 4 months with BMS. I'm in Edmonton, but just outside of Edmonton.
Excellent. Nice. Byron, how about you? Have you been with using BMS for a while?
For about a year.
Oh, okay, great, great. Quinn, how about you? No, not there. Peleg, how about you? John's iPhone. How about you, John?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, how long have you been using BMS?
I started last year, October, I believe. So it
Cool.
hasn't been a year.
Okay, excellent. Zara, how about you? How long have you been using BMS?
2 months.
2 months? Oh, good. So brand new,
Yeah.
pretty much. Excellent. Cool. And I don't think anybody here has been, Brad, you've been in a couple sessions, I think.
Yeah, I missed a couple last week. I was out of the country for a few days. So
Nice. Hopefully vacation.
yeah, I was golfing in Utah in St. George, and it was fantastic. The weather was awesome.
Don't tell me that. It was nice in Utah? Huh.
Yeah, it was like 24, like 27 was the warmest day. So it's the very
Damn.
southern tip of Utah. It's like basically Nevada, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
I
So
think
just so everybody knows, one thing I really try to insist on is for people to be on camera. It's really important for me to be able to like look at you on the screen and then also make sure like we're communicating and whatnot. So if not this time, next time, which will be Monday, if you can agree to be on camera, that would be fantastic.
okay. Tim, can I say something?
Of course.
I think there are more people wanting to join. I was in another meeting, but when I clicked on the link that's on the calendar, the meeting was not, it was a different meeting. So I came to the meeting through the Google invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who wanted to join, probably they click on the calendar on the school community. And
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, it should be the same, but let me just pause and put it in school. So 1 sec.
yeah, I think they joined. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. I'm just going to post it quickly in school here. That's amazing. Who else? Zara, how long have you been Oh, you're new to BMS too, right?
Yes, I just said 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susan, welcome. Did you went to the a different room?
I was in the question and answer place. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly book I'll be back to having my assistant help out in a week, so be much more organized. Okay, I'm just posting it in the school group as well, the current. So I'm going to go to using, just because it's been hard to keep track of people, just exclusively using the school group. I'm going to go back, or I'm going to go to, and it'll be something new for you guys. I'm going to start using the calendar invites to kind of manage the time and the content and everything else, as well as the booking link too. So I'll have specific booking link just for this meeting, so there aren't people jumping on accidentally. And then we'll have the same booking link everywhere. Okay, excellent. So sorry about that, you guys. Anybody who jumped on there, hopefully that'll be resolved. So, unfortunate. Okay, yeah, so like I said, I'll take over pretty much all of the scheduling, all of the reminders, all of that stuff kind of under my team, just because Will and Sagar and that gang are pretty busy right now. So with anything to do with this coaching, the plus coaching, I'll manage from my end. So I'll get everybody my email address and info that they can always reach out to me in any way that you need to. And by any way, I mean you can call me, you can text me, you can do whatever. So I'm always open to calls as well. Okay, excellent. So I think we have everybody on. Byron, how long have you been with BMS? All right.
I'm here. Sorry, just a little over about a year.
Oh, right on. Okay, good stuff. So welcome. These sessions, if you haven't been already, are a little bit different. What I try to do is, over the longer term, help you guys convert the leads. I've used my own systems, but I did help Will and Sagar right at the beginning when they started the business. So I've used BMS leads. My group has used BMS leads, and my idea is that I want to help the BMS folks help you guys convert more leads. So the way I've done it in the past with other groups is really through kind of a 12-week process where I'll do a presentation discussion followed by a little questionnaire, and it'll have like yes or no answers, multiple choice answers, like no more than 3 to 5 minutes to fill it out. But it'll help all of us get some feedback and stats on where people are and what weaknesses and strengths. They aren't things that I'll share to the group, but they are. I will share like summaries of what we've done to the group. Okay. So we'll just jump into today's session. Usually they're a couple hours on Mondays, followed by a Thursday kind of summary and chat, and then a Friday mastermind. Today, I'm going to start with just blasting through the kind of week 3. We're into the 3rd week, so the week 3 content. I am, aside from the online side, I'm pretty accustomed to delivering sessions. So please feel free if you have questions, if you want to know how it relates to online leads, anything you have, don't put your hand up in this group, just ask. And I'll be happy to kind of cut out. So these sessions are a little bit fluid in that they're totally up for discussion. Okay. Right. So this week we had planned to talk about building processes and trying to make your time as efficient as possible. I think the experience level of this group with both BMS, but also real estate in general, I think I can go through this reasonably quickly, maybe have some interactions around questions, but do know that, you know, a very small portion of lead generation is actually acquiring the leads. Conversion happens between the time you acquire, the time you turn that lead into a prospect, so you've talked to them, then the time that it takes you to book a meeting, which is the next step, and then from there you get hired, and then from there you buy or sell a house. So when you're thinking about lead generation, please don't don't think of it just as the leads you're acquiring or even the quality of the leads you're acquiring. Because 60 to 70% of this process is completely different than that. Okay. I'm not suggesting you put up with terrible leads or you don't pay attention to acquisition. Please do, but do know that it's really only a third of the process. Okay. And in my mind, your number one objective should be booking appointments. And by that, I mean booking a Zoom call to talk to somebody about something, having a coffee meeting with somebody you may know, or going out and showing houses on a discovery day. So make sure you're focused on having good conversations, but really you need to book appointments. We need to see people face to face, whether that means Zoom or in person, but it's really going to be more challenging to make the hiring decision for a customer if they aren't seeing you and your value face to face. So that I guess the phone becomes the tool to get us face to face with people. Who just chime in if this is kind of a new way of thinking for you, and I'm asking specifically about prioritizing booking appointments. Is kind of everybody on that wavelength, or is it new to anybody? Okay, awesome. Perfect. So this will be an ongoing theme for those who have been to sessions. This is just an ongoing theme. I'll always talk about booking appointments. Okay. I'm guessing you can see my screen, or at least I'm hoping. Okay, right on. Thanks, Chris. So what I want to do this week, or this session in particular, is really talk about building scalable, repeatable, and efficient systems so you can book these showings. Okay. Booking showings will take more effort, but the important part about booking an appointment is that you have to measure the success by the show rate. So the percentage of people that actually show up for your meetings. And this is where you need to be quite efficient in booking reminders, sending reminders, making sure people have links, follow-ups, but ultimately you want to make that meeting as bookable as possible. So you want that show rate to be, I think if you're using an ISA, you can expect a show rate of kind of maybe 40%, depending on how good your systems are, maybe up to 50%. But if you're doing it yourself, you can usually book up to 70%. So 7 out of 10 appointments that you book show up. And I think that's kind of an expectation or a metric that you can look towards anyways. But different ways that we do this. So we can really focus, if we're focused on booking appointments, we will have a good booking system. So I don't know if the CRM you guys use has a booking system. If it doesn't, use Calendly, Calendly or another product like Calendly. I shouldn't just say Calendly, but I use Calendly. If my team is booking appointments, they can book into my calendar, book into their own calendar, depending on what the appointment is. And it's just something that's very efficient because Calendly will then allow you to build a workflow and a system that reminds people and hopefully increases the chance of show rates. Okay. You can do crazy things inside of Calendly. Well, effectively, you can send out video messages, video reminders. There are lots of different things you can integrate to make that happen. But that's the process that you need to be thinking about. Acquiring leads happens over here, and it's great. But you have to be thinking about building good systems to increase your actual closing of appointments, booking of appointments. Sorry. I'm out of control today. So keep in mind that the whole mission is to book. Does anybody use Calendly?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Susan, yeah. So do you use the workflows pretty aggressively?
I just set up my talk to me to chat about real estate, or let's book an appointment, like a discovery call, I just have those. And
Yeah.
I send those to the clients. Is that what you mean by workflow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what I mean.
Okay.
And just specifically exactly what you're saying, I think you can tweak and play around with those workflow reminders, you know, to give them the right cadence that would be like you, whether, you know, some people call every day, but you can do the text messaging. So just dig into Calendly a little bit and just make sure that that workflow is going to maximize the number of people showing up. Because even if you can increase that like 10%, let's say, so, you know, that's a considerable improvement and will help you have a chance to talk with people face to face.
I've never actually had anyone not show up.
Oh, right. Then don't do anything else. Just leave it like that.
I've never, yeah, it's really weird. If I book something to show them or a listing appointment, I've never had 23 years, not yet. Haven't had.
Okay, yeah. Let me clarify. I see what you're saying, and that's still amazing. What I'm saying is if you're on the phone with somebody and you've done your thing on the phone and you have a chance to give them your Calendly link, or you suggest 2 times to them, you say, hey, I'm available this time or that time. I think if you have 100% show rate on that, that's amazing. Those show rates are what I think most people should focus on, and improving their systems to allow them to get to that 70+%. Would you have 100% of that, do you think, like online people?
Well, I haven't, this is the first time I've ever actually used
Oh.
leads, you know, so and all the 23 leads I've had so far, I've been in it a month now. I haven't had any appointments, so, but
Yeah.
they're either not answering the phone, or it's not like I'm talking to anybody who I know is really wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll work through that on a number of different levels, but know that on the systems level, don't be disappointed when people don't show up. It's literally just one of those things that we have to get better and better and better. And just like anything online, it's a numbers game. So the show rate is a numbers game as well, but one that with good systems we can improve. And I'm sure like your historical real estate stats are going to be amazing. So use some of those workflows or ideas. So, but yeah, it can be frustrating, to be honest. Like I've often felt frustrated when I'm paying somebody to book appointments and only 40% show up. So I'm sitting there. So, but online you'll see this, Susan. Hopefully not. But
Okay.
okay. Anybody else using Calendly or anything like that? No? Can't see any hands. So check it out. I think Calendly is free. And yeah, there's a free version, but you can only have 1 or 2 meeting types set up. So if you're only using one kind of meeting to have people book into, Calendly is probably great. If you are trying to have like multiple meetings, like, 5 meetings going on at once, it's, or sorry, 5 meetings being booked into at once, it's not the right thing. Okay. So I encourage you all to work on your systems and allow kind of Calendly or something like that to be part of it. So with the systems you're going to build within the CRM, your own CRM, the most important thing you can focus on is creating tasks for the future for every single lead, and then making sure you perform those tasks. And what I mean by that is literally scheduling your calls. And almost every system out there will allow you to create tasks or reminders, they might call them, or follow-up. But what I would strongly suggest is that each day, when you sit down to convert to calling from whatever else you're doing, make sure you can have just like a list of calls that you have to make. And be consistent with those calls, and if you have to move them forward, advance them in time, advance them forward. But if you have 10 calls to make today, make 10 and then stop. You won't hear that from too many people, but I do believe in, you'll have busy days where you have 20 calls or 30 calls to make, and then you'll have slower days when you only have 10 calls to make. Make the calls you're supposed to make that day, and then move on to whatever else you're doing. So systems matter in lead generation, probably just as much as any other marketing style of marketing, real estate services. There are emotions involved, definitely. One emotion is fear that we often have, where like that first call, and I've said it before, probably my first 2 or 3 calls of every session, I feel really uncomfortable after 7 years of literally doing online leads. But I think that emotion can be reduced. And the way I reduce it is I do have that list of calls that I have to make for the day. So I can feel confident that I go call 1, call 2, call 3, call 4, and just chunk through my my schedule, and literally just hope that my fear turns into excitement because I get a chance to talk to somebody. Okay. So be honest with yourself. It's not an easy, it's like anything. It's a challenge. Whether we geo-target or drop flyers or whatever we're doing, they're all different challenges.
What do you do? Like sometimes I find I'll be doing a round of calls, and there just isn't anybody answering, and it starts feeling redundant and boring, and thoughts like, what's the point? Comes like I could be doing something else that's better spending my time. How do you work through that?
So I talk a lot about this, and I think that the natural feeling is to like pause and maybe move on to something else, which is legitimate. For me, I don't know, usually when you power through just a little bit, unless it's just really bad, really bad today, maybe something's gone on, whatever. But if you power through, you'll get to that 6th call or 10th call, and they'll answer, and then it can make your day. So it's easy for me to say like power through, but try to pick yourself up. It's not your fault that people aren't answering. It's not your fault that people are nice today. Don't get frustrated by that, but try to make the 10 calls that you tried to make or you scheduled to make. Yeah, so my advice would be to power through, but at the end of the day, we have to have confidence when somebody answers that line. So if you feel you can't have that confidence, then pause for sure. For
Okay.
sure.
Thanks.
So yeah, if it's that anxious feeling, then pause. But if it's just like frustration, then I would just power through. But a big distinction there. If when that person answers, you can't feel confident, then don't do it. So like with anything, systems will help you provide predictable outcomes. So in a few sessions, I'll start sharing kind of the numbers around online lead gen. But this is the same for absolutely anything. If you have some friends and family, sphere of influence, you meet somebody refers somebody to you, you still have to have that appointment. You need to go out on showings. You need to work through your buyer-seller contracts, purchase contracts, and then closings. So this is the exact same. Every single marketing technique will get you to this point where ultimately you want to be at that booking appointment stage, and that leads to everything else. Okay? That's your time to shine at the appointment level. The phone is just the tool to get you there. So 3 systems I always talk about, which are lead flow, follow-up, and client service. You'll hear transaction management. To me, that's like the actual transaction management, and is important. But for me, these 3 primary systems you should build are vitally important. And it is a lead flow system. I'll just break it down to 2 actually for speed, but a lead flow system and a follow-up system. So for a lead flow system, you have to make sure you understand how leads are captured, so where they're coming from. You want to be able to label them, whether you're breaking them down into hot leads, cold leads, warm leads, or A leads, B leads, C leads. No matter how you're considering those leads, you want to make sure inside of your CRM, you are literally labeling them. You're giving them some kind of definition. It might not seem important right now, but it will be very, very important down the road when you're trying to search for that type of lead in your database. Okay? And try to figure out your labeling system ahead of time. Most systems have unlimited tagging, so if you mess something up or you want to change the way you've described people or whatever, that's easy enough. You'll always be able to go back and add tags, remove tags, but do label them. And I think in most systems they'll be called tags. Just trying to think. Yeah.
Are the tags for sorting, or are they more? Do they do something in the back end?
Yeah, so both. Well, primarily sorting, but you can then use your tags to create action plans or workflows or drip campaigns. Any one of those 3 words to describe what you're doing. But ultimately, if the day comes and you want to send something to everybody labeled this way, it's really easy.
So it's not in itself activating anything. It's just helping you find those particular leads to do something too.
Yes. However, it can activate things. When you label it, when you put a tag on, if I put a tag on Byron's name, that could activate a email drip campaign. Depending on your CRM, but most CRMs will do that.
Will you, or is there a point where a person you could go through that, like how setting up a tag to, like I say,
Yeah.
activate a drip campaign or something?
Yeah, for sure. So what I'll do next week is I'm going to work on, I have a sales pyramid and it breaks up online leads in general into 3 categories. It's like a pyramid. So I'll show you how I label people based on where they fall in that pyramid. I just want to make a note because, as you know, these are fluid, and I'm going to make sure I add that for next week.
And Tim, if you don't mind me asking, what CRM are you using?
I use Follow Up Boss.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the system BMS uses is probably kind of a GoHighLevel style system. Would be my guess. Probably right?
Yeah, it is. It's based on that. I just wanted to get your opinion on it because it seems like Follow Up Boss is simple but very powerful. Everything you need without a lot of fluff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it. So I think Follow Up Boss doesn't have the massive functionality of any GoHighLevel system. So any system that you're using is so tremendous. But it also, I had a big project where I was building out a CRM around GoHighLevel, and it just got too complicated. So I dropped back to Follow Up Boss, and Follow Up Boss is simple. It's made for online lead generation. It's very focused. You can have these action plans, but it's really focused on calling and taking notes. So that's why I like it. It's calling, taking notes, creating tasks, and tagging and putting people in different categories. It's not cheap though. Although, yeah. If you bought like a single individual user, it would be about the same as an actual GoHighLevel account that you paid for. but if you're getting it for free, GoHighLevel's a good option as well. Yeah. All right.
Hi. Excuse
yeah.
me, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Can I just ask you guys a questions, do you have any, I mean, like, Chris, when you joined, the first one, did you use the Elite CRM?
No, because I already used Lofty, but like and Lofty is great, but it's got so much there. My ADD is like it's like a rabbit hole. Like it's just so
Yeah.
just got everything going on where I like the simplicity of Follow Boss. I think the GoHighLevel one is good. And am I right where thinking that people that were involved in BMS before they got the CRM for free? Maybe?
No, I was given a 1 month trial.
Oh,
But
okay.
I actually my trial was over just a few days ago, and I have been asking the people to do the integration for me to another CRM.
Mhm.
But I'm still waiting for them to complete it. So I'm just not sure whether if you have the same experience or whether it's easier, for or did they, do it for you, or I just wanted to know, but you have never used your Elite, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I've
Chris,
never used that
Yeah,
one.
it's okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Christine, I will say, and for everybody, I think one of my biggest heartaches is trying to figure out a way to move CRM. So that's another reason I fell back to Follow Boss, because I've used it forever and all my data was there. The companies will always tell you that you can export your data, and sure you can, but what you're exporting is the contact information for the client typically. Any fields like tags, you might get tags as well, sorry, but follow-up times, follow-up dates, your detailed notes, all of that will be gone. And they're just not, well, they tell you they're not able to do this, but every CRM is the same. So choose your CRM wisely, and then like pivot if it doesn't work for you, the sooner the better. Because a lot of times you want to copy and paste your notes that you've had for clients, or your follow-up schedule by hand. So when you're doing that by 4,000 leads, it's not going to be, it's a bit of work.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to, to switch it now, since I just started the program with BMS, but, I noticed that I was trying to import all the, the leads, into the new system, but it just mess up, like, I'm not sure whether they can actually do it for me or not. Anyway, but I will check.
Yeah, just be prepared, like stick with whatever you have used however you're doing it, stick with one and have a transition period where you can move the data maybe by hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so what I'm saying here is define a clear entry point. Every lead comes in and should have like a little bit of information. I know with BMS you have the qualifunnel, which is awesome. So those times when the qualifunnel is filled out, that's great. But make sure you're doing something with it right away. So you're categorizing, you're tagging, you're looking at that lead right away, and hopefully you're calling it. But it's no different than if you're getting leads and DMs from social media. You're going to want to make sure you understand where that came from and as many details as possible. And that will help make life much more efficient in the future. Great, so that's just the ideas and the concepts around lead flow system. So the basic essence of this is make sure you are managing your leads somehow, rating them, scheduling them, all of that kind of stuff. So you've got the acquisition piece. People can fall down at this part, the CRM part, and that all will all contribute to like just degradation of the lead over time. So don't let it, keep it a high quality lead by making sure you know everything about it, and then scheduling something to do. So your follow-up systems. So if there's lead flow management, and there's follow-up systems. Your follow-up systems are really, they're vital. And this is, I'm not plugging Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss has an amazing task-oriented system. So you can really push yourself to make sure you're doing things updating tasks, moving them forward. But at the end of the day, you just have to be prepared to keep those leads organized, so the lead flow, and then keep following up with them, which is the follow-up system. Okay. You can decide what your frequencies are. Do you want to call every day in the first 14 days? Do you want to call once in the first 14 days? These kinds of pieces where you have your flexibility, your cadence, your comfort level, whatever that is, you can set up that schedule. My biggest warning, and again, this will be a common theme throughout, online leads, everybody here can close at 10%. I have zero doubt about that. But you have to think about this in the longer term. When I measure my conversion rates, I'm measuring over 24 months. So if my team is converting 10%, so 10 out of every 100 leads convert into a deal, it can be any time during that 24-month period. So if I have an agent who's not following their follow-up schedule 18 months from now, that can mean that they don't get those deals that are out there 18 months from now. And I would say, in my experience, if you're measuring quality at the beginning versus quality at 24 months, there's not a huge gap. So you have whatever comes in, it's really good. And sometimes 18 months later, it's just as good, because that client might be purchasing a house that they were starting to search for today. Okay? And the vast majority of my clients have always been in the 12 to 18 month mark. So it's just, I'm not saying like, don't expect something today, because out of 10, you should get 2 or 3 in the first year. But for me, not sure what commission levels are, but if 10 deals is 10,000 and I make 100 grand off my 100 leads, and if I wasn't patient enough to keep working them after that 12-month mark, that would have cost me $50,000 in ROI. Okay. So I think people are super understanding when they talk about their sphere of influence, or maybe flyer drops, very patient, very understanding that this could be a long-term thing with your friend or your friend's aunt or uncle. You really, it's frustrating. I do think that online lead has the quickest possible way of hitting quickly, but what you're really going to see is afterwards. Okay? Like anything, just be patient, but enjoy the quick hits, no doubt about that. But if I talk to you guys 2 years from now, I would be hoping you're just finishing up working the leads that you started with today. Okay? So the follow-up system will allow you to kind of stick with that program. And I think Byron asked maybe something along this lines, but when I pull down my task list for the day, I'll see people I talked to a year and a half ago, and it's hilarious. So I pick up the call, I call them, I'm like, I told you I'd wait a year and a half before I called you. Here I am, let's whatever. So that's the cool thing, is like literally I pull down my taskbar, I see 20 things I have to do, and quite often it's littered with people I talked to in the past, or people I haven't gotten a hold of. I make the call, and maybe I'm lucky enough to get them. Okay. We will get into this. Don't worry about this yet. But part of my passion is to work with people on adaptive scripting. So not downline scripting, but scripting around responses. And I think we touched on this in one of the sessions. We'll go right into this in a whole 1 week session. Hopefully your CRM has some kind of way to trigger for interest behavior. So somebody opens an email that you've sent, or clicks on something, or clicks on a text message, or responds to a text message. This is where I would say Chris, Follow-Up Boss, falls down. You can send emails. You can attach it, you can connect it with MailChimp. You can send emails, and then you can see the simple responses, but you can't see what people are clicking on, like in terms of properties or whatever. So my one caution with Follow-Up Boss would just be on this whole piece. I will flip that and say it's a good calling system, and that's all we should be worrying about. I've had great nurture systems that I've worked weeks and weeks on. It didn't result in anything, and I could have picked the phone up 20 more times and had a deal. So don't get caught up in the automations and things like that. And I've learned that the hard way. Okay, and then ultimately client service. So we're not going to worry about this. We'll talk lots about this going forward. But scalability. So scalability and the reason I asked how long people have been at this. So those folks who have been 2 years, I think a couple of people, you'll be able to get to scaled automation. By that, I mean, maybe you have 1,000 people in your database. So maybe a drip campaign works to get you a result of one person drops out of that drip campaign, and it's a deal, and it's worth 10 grand. When you have 60 people, I don't like people to get too caught up in that workflow, because quite often you're not at a big enough scale to expect results, right? Could you get results at 60 and a great drip campaign? Absolutely. But I encourage people to focus on calling versus automation until your database is 1,000 plus.
Hey, Tim, I just had a quick question. You said you're going to be breaking down how you categorize the leads that come in. Is that going to be this Thursday next week?
I'm going to do it Monday next week.
Okay.
So Monday's the 2-hour session.
Okay.
So they'll be able to get really interactive with it. Yeah. Yes. Does that sound good? Will you be able to make it Monday?
Yeah, thank you.
Is today 1 hour?
Yeah, today's 1 hour. Yeah. Sorry. But we'll go Mondays 2, and then this Thursday session will be 1. But the idea of the Thursday session is probably to share and talk about the feedback from the Monday session. Yeah. That's my MO. Yeah.
Is there also a session tomorrow?
There is, yeah. Sorry, the mastermind session. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on, you are all mature and, seasoned enough to know that time management is really, really important. And I think with online lead gen, I've seen people do things one of two ways. They will block time, or with inbound calling, they just walk around and they're ready to respond to a call. So ultimate speed to lead, I would say. So time blocking is probably really important. Sometimes I've managed my time just as like I have time to do 2 tasks. So I'll get my list, I'll make a call, I'll make another call. So you can also manage things that way. I wouldn't, like, if you're brand new to real estate, it's probably good to like carve out that time when you're calling. Yeah, it probably would be a good thing. And then if you're tagging people effectively, you can have themed days. So if you have a ton of, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, if you had a day where you could line up all your 10s, like all your, what you think are just terrible leads, and then you just pound through those terrible leads, you'll have the mentality that you're not expecting much. you're not gunning for that A kind of 1 out of 10, sorry, flip that, but you're not gunning for that ultimate lead. You're just chewing through and making calls. And that's your theme of the day. So a lot of people will do group calling, some teams will do group calling, that kind of idea. But if you just create in your own mind those days where there's those themes, and I'll flip back to the tagging. So if you have tagged people a certain way, maybe you take a day and you call all those tags because they all have the same attributes. Okay. So don't be afraid to like theme out your time, and manage your energy. I mean, if it's I think Byron, you had that question specifically about people not answering and getting frustrated. That I would power through, but at the same time, if you just don't have the energy, honestly, that comes across immediately on the phone. I think that non-verbal cues on the phone can be can make it very obvious of what we're doing. So if you don't have it in you, or you feel like you're not going to be able to make a good call, that would be the time when I would manage my energy. And then on the flip side, so your golden hours. People ask me all the time, what's the best time to call? And the answer is simply what is most comfortable for you. Okay? We're in a numbers game. If you're down and tired and uncomfortable calling at 8 a.m., for instance, those calls are not going to be good. There's just no way. It's impossible that you will be able to turn up and turn off your anxiety and suddenly be able to have a masterful call. So if 10 a.m. to noon is a great time for you, if 8 to 9 p.m. is a good time for you, make those calls when you're most comfortable.
What if you have an ISA, Tim?
Pardon me?
What if you have an ISA? Is there a time frame that you'd recommend that they would call?
Yeah, so I've just hired a new person yesterday, and she's pretty dynamic. So I've just said call the same thing I'm telling you. Call when you're comfortable. Call when you're ready to call. If you have an ISA where maybe English isn't the first language, that anxiety or fear that everybody has calling will quickly be overwhelming for a lead on the other end of the line. So depending on, so this is just my advice. I mean, Will might talk about something completely different. But my ISA, I want to be just like me. And yeah, I'll call at the scheduled times that make the most sense for me.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tim.
And I've seen the ISA thing, Pat. I think that's a really good topic. So you know, if you ask a person to call at certain times, but they have children, or, you know, time-wise, it's an ungodly hour and they're not comfortable working at that time, you're just throwing away your money. In fact, you're like negative on every lead that you lose that might have been able to connect, right? So you have enough challenges with an ISA. Don't make your schedule one of them.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, no problem. I hope that helps. Yeah. On that front, I can only say what I do. I know Will is an expert, so definitely defer to him if he's got different opinion. Okay, so for today, there's nothing specific that I want you to do. I am going to send you a Google form. I'll send it by email now, and I'll try to do as much as I can by email. You're welcome to reach out to me in any fashion. I do check the school account, not as often as I should maybe, but it will be, I'll create kind of an email as well, so you can respond that way if you want. So yeah, I'll send out a Google form. Just going to ask about 4 or 5 multiple choice style answers, yes, no answers as well, where I'm just trying to figure out where people are at in terms of like level of organization, and a few other things. So just okay, so I got you, John. Thanks. Yeah, so today, just take time, do your lead flow, do your client flow, and do your follow-up flow. I think, you know, Susan, you had a great point. Like when we do this personally, it's like 100%. That's pretty impressive. So it's maybe not always 100% for most people, but you know, just think, hey, am I giving that person the easiest path to meet with me? That's it. So just make sure you are. And then maybe if you have super mature database, you know, and you want to start tagging things, start tagging from here on different ways. Some people go crazy with the tags, but I always find that tags, if you have none, you can never find anything. But if you have a ton, you can usually figure out which tags you can find things with. So, yeah, Chris.
What is it? The three question checklist. Sorry, I must have missed that.
Yeah, sorry. So I think I skipped through this, to be honest. I think this was on one of the slides I just crammed through, but I'll send this 3 questions out, so you'll see them, and then I'll kind of go through the answers, the common responses. But essentially, what I like to do is, like, you have your daily tasks, but on the macro level, make emotional tasks that are just like 1, 2, 3 things. You know, I want it to be peaceful for the majority of the week, right? Check. I want to be focused for certain amount of time. So make macro checklists, because they'll make this micro calling, like it's an intense thing. Call, answer, book. But make sure you're measuring that on a macro level too. Because I always have these follow-up tasks. So now I have a task that happens, I think I'm doing it every Tuesday right now. And whatever task is, like, was I focused this week? Check. You know, or did I have this feeling this week? Check. Did I help like 3 people sincerely this week? Whatever you want, just break up this craziness of all these tasks and reminders to make calls.
Okay.
And then just back to the golden hours thing above that. Yeah, I think, I don't know, there's no good time to get married. There's no good time to have a baby. There's no good time to buy a house. There's no good time. There's no specifically good time to make calls.
Tim, just a quick question for you. You just said you hired an ISA, so I think you're obviously way past this, and you said you've been doing online leads for 7 years. When you first started and you were doing the calls just on your, like, by yourself, like, were you prospecting like every single day, like Monday through Sunday, or like were there days where you were like more focused on following up versus actually prospecting cold leads?
Yeah, really good question. So it shifted a couple times. Number one, when I started, I was new to I was very experienced in business, but very new to real estate. So as soon as I had a strong enough database, like enough people, as soon as I had enough leads to do it, I would make 30 calls a day. At the time, I had a real estate assistant, who's now a super successful realtor. But anyway, so when she was my assistant, we'd both make 30 calls a day. So we were booking a ton of meetings every day. I was on Zoom all the time. It was very satisfying. But then it also changed a little bit to where I was slowing it down, not on purpose necessarily. But I think that for me, yeah, I'm not sure. I think just when it's comfortable for you. I became somehow uncomfortable with Saturdays and Sundays, but that was not on purpose. That was just like somehow that happened to me.
And those 3 hours, it would be just strictly like prospecting, or it's mixed with follow-up and everything? Like you're
Yeah,
following up here.
Great question. So I have these tasks. Some of them will be second calls. Like I would speed to lead as much as I could.
Mhm.
And then I'd mark tasks for follow-up. So I might remind myself to call somebody tomorrow, but I might remind myself to call somebody 3 days from now. So the 3-day person will just drop in the list. So a lot of my list will be scattered with and if you keep the database and use your friends and family as well, it'll be scattered with whatever comes up on the list. And that's for me the most comforting and the best decision I ever made was to manage off a task list like that, because I don't have to think tomorrow about what I have to do. After this call, somebody asked me about the sales period, the sales pyramid side and the identifying leads. I'll add that to my task for tomorrow, and then I'll get through that. So, yeah, so I wouldn't differentiate. I didn't differentiate fresh prospects with follow-up calls.
Okay, thank you.
And for me, it was like kind of satisfying. Like sometimes I was calling because somebody asked me to call them back. So it kind of blended in with the craziness of the initial calls.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so everybody who's not on camera, so for Monday, please prepare to be on camera. So how do you guys feel about the difference between Susan, totally, the difference between organizing your real estate, your regular marketing or other forms of marketing, and the lead generation? Yeah, how do you feel about that? Feel there's a difference or? Right.
Sorry, Tim, I just had one last question. I just
of
forgot to
course.
ask it earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't able to attend the other previous calls because I was on vacation. Are those calls available or the recordings available anywhere?
So no.
Okay.
And I don't mean no because I don't want to. I don't know if I recorded them. And what I want to do is this will be a 12-week program and just cycles. So my success in, I think, or our success in building a training system in Edmonton has been this idea of running through a program, a 12-week program, just time after time after time. So somebody can keep in the program, they can drop in it, they can drop out it, and they can also drop in on specific scheduled sessions as well, topic-related sessions. So what I am going to try to do is make sure I detail to everybody. And again, the systems aren't mine, so I just have to be cautious. I'm going to mainly just try to do it by email. I'll give a list of weeks 1 through 12 and what the topics are. And then as soon as I can figure out with Will where I could record or store those recordings, I'll do that. Usually do it just in one of my YouTube channels. So if we do that, it'll be really easy. I just point people to the YouTube. So yeah.
Tim, just quick question. When you said was it the online leads and then your marketing? What did you mean by the question there, the last one?
Yeah, it was a bad question. Thank you. Well, I guess my curiosity is around folks who have, lots of experience with other forms of marketing, like say flyer dropping or sphere of influence. There's gonna always be a dynamic or change or difference between that kind of tracking and then the lead kind of tracking. And I'm just curious, anybody who's been in that boat, like how far out, like how different is online lead generation, I guess?
Will there be a section on transaction coordination, like information that we can pass on if we want to hire a TC coordinator, or how we can just better organize our back end? I just feel like that's something that was never really taught or offered because it's like market specific.
Yeah, so maybe give me a bit more specifics of what you are looking for.
I guess like I kind of have my own system now where I will at a certain point in the transaction, I will make sure that exclusive buyer representation agreement, consumer relationships is sent to the office. And then same thing with offer to purchase waiver amendments FinTrack, and then I have a template in the email that's sent that's specific for my brokerage and says, hey, here, please find the remaining documents. But I wonder if there's a way to optimize that or make it more fluid, or because I want to eventually offset that.
Yeah.
Eventually it's just going to get too busy for me. And I don't think I even should be doing that, right?
No, yes, you are correct. So maybe I'm welcome to talk to anybody offline about this, just because it's going to be like, as you said, definitely it's going to be market specific, and it's also going to be brokerage specific to a certain extent. But I have, again, so my process I have from literally when we received the call to closing the deal to client nurture after that. So I'm happy, more than happy to share that with you. Just with a massive disclaimer that yeah, we're different.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you, Tim. We'll connect offline.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and anything like that you guys have questions about, like, again, like, I'm happy to share whatever I've got, so. Okay, wow, finished in an hour, that's good.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tim.
See you on Monday. You'll be getting more details via email now that I
Okay.
have them.
Sounds good.
Thank
So-
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, hey,
Bye.
sorry, if anybody here hasn't given me their email address yet via that school or previously, just fire me your email address. I think everybody here has, so,
Bye.
Thanks, Tim.
okay, thanks,
you.
guys, thanks,
Tim.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.